It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. The conveyor belt continues and the amazing names continue as well. The names, Committie. Committie. He's giving you a license to laugh. He always does. He's one of the funniest individuals that we know, and from Cape Town to Johannesburg, and hundreds of South African venues in between, but also via London, New York, and Los Angeles. This veritable one-man committee of comedy will have you in stitches with his particular brand of highbrow hijinks. And he's just so sharp, and he is here this morning. Looking so sharp.
Oh, thank you, sir. You're very kind.
Hey?
You say this morning, it feels like it's still a little bit of last night.
It is last night.
It is last night, isn't it?
No, I've worked it out. 3:30 in the morning, if you got up
Yeah.
at 3:30, then it's last night.
It is still last night.
Last
well,
night.
this is
But
nice.
it's fine.
It's
Great
not-
to see you this
Thank
evening.
you. Nice
How
to
are you
be back.
doing, man? Great to have you here, my friend. It's difficult to know where to begin with you because you've had so many amazing phases attached to so many amazing productions. But for the people that don't know, those that have just first come into contact with the committee, because did you start as an actor?
Yeah.
And were you really bad and then you had to go into
Now
comedy?
you see, this is the kind of gripping television we need early in the morning. I studied as an actor at UCT all those years ago, but it was always with a kind of comedic bent, if you will, on a Tuesday morning. And so all of my early shows did have a kind of comedy slant to it. It was either in a farce or a show with comedy aspects to it. And then it kind of gravitated into stand-up. My very first one-man show, which was a kind of one-man Richard III, I played everyone. And then slowly that kind of started to evolve into a stand-up kind of thing. And so, of course, now here we are, 25 solo comedy shows later. But every year I try and do a straight piece of theatre. And that might be a Richard III at Maynardville or Oleanna, which was quite a dark two-hander. I've just finished, just before lockdown, we were stopped doing Mel Brooks's Producers, the amazing musical. So the idea is every year to try and do one kind of straight piece of theatre and then some stand-up shows.
Because you are not one thing.
I don't want to be one thing. I love all of it. I love everything about being on stage and being live. That's why it's been such a strange 2 and a bit years. But we were just saying this, to lose that currency of live energy and actually communicating to an audience where every night is different and interesting and unique.
Nuanced.
Yeah.
It could rest on just the facial expression of that one person
100%.
sitting in the row in front of you. We've experienced so much over the last 2 years. I was about to, just before we went live, talk about the trauma of the last 2 years for theatre owners, for business owners.
Correct.
Shopping centres, anyone who has been reliant on the space. There's been so much pessimism during this time, yet you still have to find the comic fodder within that.
That's my task.
How do you adjust your lens, or is it always like that?
It's always like that. I think comedians look at the world slightly askew. So you're looking at straight on, we're maybe 2 or 3 steps to the right or left. We have the same experiences. We might be disappointed or angry or upset or sad. But then minutes later, we start thinking, you know, this would be a great bit on stage if I just tweaked it a little bit. I'm going to give you an example. I've been flying at the moment during these mad lockdown periods. You know they make you sanitize and stand in the queues and temperature checks, all of which is necessary. Then you get on the plane and 8 people sit on your lap.
Yeah.
Amazing. And now on one of the airlines, they've actually said if an oxygen mask will fall down if there's a loss of oxygen, put on your mask, but remove your COVID mask first. See, I think that's genius. My question is, what happens if the plane crashes? Now you fall out of the sky, you get out of the plane, you're floating in the water, you're in an inflatable life jacket. At this point, I would say, remove the oxygen mask, put the COVID mask back on. Because imagine you survive a plane crash and you survive drowning.
And then you die.
And then you get COVID.
No, not at all.
That would be a disaster. Bad things come in threes, don't they? Also float 2 meters away from other survivors. These are some of the things I'm offering as help. That's
flapping away from them. I absolutely love it, because we do need to laugh now. I think it's almost become a survival mechanism. How do you scale, being as unbelievably, immensely intelligent as you are?
Stop it.
With the theatrical background that you have in some of the greatest literature grounding.
Yeah.
How do you know where to scale a joke? How much wordplay do you allow yourself? How much do you speak to the 0.1% and how much do you speak to the...
I think that over 25 years you've started to cultivate the kind of people... my audience knows what to expect, but you're hoping always for new audience members to kind of arrive. Sometimes it's family members and friends of the people who already support you. Sometimes it's people who've never heard of you and suddenly end up at the theatre. My stuff is... I think full family friendly, and it's not in a way that you have to have be learned, learned or have read up on stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of presented in sound bites.
Accessible.
And absolutely accessible. Having said all of that, I do love language and the way it breaks down. For those who watch me know, every show I have a flip chart. I carry it around on the Vespa that I drive. And I kind of see myself, if you want, not as a James Bond secret agent, but as a word agent, trying to work out kind of hidden meanings to stuff. So that's part of the silliness. But I think that's accessible to people who are 8 years old, 80 years old, anything in between, and whether you've been to school or not. And then, by the way, as an ex-high school teacher, and that's maybe where I've got this kind of slant, I know kind of how to pitch to various crowds and
to an unreceptive audience is what
who
you
don't really
say.
want to hear me, and I'm going to insist on them. Exactly.
Well, I guarantee you that's not what you're going to get for Live and Let Laugh, your 25th
Yeah.
comedy
Well, this is
show,
why I
mate.
decided to call it Live and Let Laugh, because Bond was 25, this last Bond, the No Time to Cry. Basically there've been 25 Bond movies over 60 years. I've had 25 stand-up shows over 48 years. So I'm winning. It feels to me I'm doing more work than James Bond.
That pocket square says you're a winner this morning, man. We love you. And when he gets on the Vespa, he takes it out and he ties it like a bandana. It looks awesome. Alan's 25th comedy show, Live and Let Laugh, starting at Johannesburg, the Monte Casino this coming Friday. And our Cape Townians, don't worry, you'll get it at the Theatre in the Bay in Cape Town, on the Bay in Cape Town during December. But get onto CompuTicket now. These are going to go very, very, very fast.